The message that crossed the stars, the sky above the planet Doria, was no longer blue. Thick black smoke rolled across the skies like waves. Cities once filled with laughter and music were now silent. The air was heavy with ash, and the ground trembled with distant explosions. For the Darians, a peaceful alien race, this was the end. Captain Elan stood inside the last surviving command center. His fur was singed, and his hands shook as he pressed buttons on the console. Lights blinked. Red, systems failing one by one. Behind him, injured civilians waited. There was no escape ship, no more defense fleet. Their world was dying. He opened the old galactic distress beacon. It had not been used in centuries. The Alliance had forgotten their little planet, and Doria had never been strong or important. But now, in their darkest hour, Elan had no choice. He activated the SOS system and whispered a single line into the communicator, "This is Doria. We are dying. Please, anyone, help us." The message went out across systems, through dark space, bouncing off satellites and old relay towers. Most ignored it. Some civilizations received it and looked away. Others were too afraid to get involved. Doria had no riches, no army, and no value. Helping them would only bring trouble, but far away, on a cold planet known only as Earth, the signal was received. A woman named Commander Holt sat inside a black-walled briefing room, staring at the data. Behind her stood 4 other humans, tall, calm, quiet. These weren't normal soldiers. These were Deathworlders. Born on Earth, trained in gravity that crushed most species, raised on a planet full of danger, storms, and predators. Earth was known by one word across the galaxy: Deathworld. The humans were not part of the Galactic Alliance. They had stepped away years ago. Many alien leaders thought humans were too violent, too unpredictable. Some said they were monsters in human skin. Others whispered that humans didn't just fight, they ended wars, and now, an unknown signal had reached Earth. A call for help. Holt leaned forward and replayed the message. She heard the pain, the desperation. Her team stood still, waiting for orders. She looked at them and spoke clearly, "Pack up. We leave in 1 hour." No debate. No delay. No need for approval. Earth's Deathworlders didn't ask permission. When a cry for help was real, they answered it. While Earth's diplomats tried to warn other governments, the team of 5 boarded their black dropship. The ship, built for stealth and power, cut through the stars with silent fury. Their destination, Doria. Back on Doria, 3 days had passed. Elan had begun to lose hope. The enemy, a brutal species called the Grenth, were closing in. The last barrier around the capital city would not hold. Fires burned in the distance. Supplies were gone. Families had already said goodbye. Elan stood on a broken rooftop, looking at the stars one last time. He didn't expect an answer. No one ever. Help Doria, but then, a sound like thunder echoed through the sky. A black shadow streaked across the clouds. Fast. Too fast. The dropship broke the sound barrier as it roared above the city. Its engines lit the ruins with blue fire. A moment later, it landed in the middle of the city square, crushing stone beneath. Its weight. 5 figures stepped out, each wearing heavy armor, each holding weapons the Darians had never seen. The leader, a woman with a scar over one eye, looked around at the chaos. She didn't speak in flowery words. No big speech. Just one sentence: "We got your message." Elan's mouth opened, but he couldn't speak. The humans were bigger than he expected. Harder. Their eyes were calm, not afraid. A child near him whispered, "Are they here to save us?" The answer came as one of the Deathworlders lifted a massive cannon and aimed it toward the hills where the Grenth forces were gathering. "No," Commander Holt said with a cold voice. "We are here to end it." And so, the real story began, not of rescue, but of reckoning. Deathworlders don't ask questions. The arrival of the humans changed everything. Elan stood frozen as the 5 Deathworlders moved like silent predators through the broken streets. They didn't need maps or orders. They looked once and understood the battlefield. Their armor hissed and clicked with hidden tech. Their weapons glowed with quiet power. These were not saviors in shining armor, they were weapons made flesh. "Commander." Holt stopped beside Elan. Where's the front line? She asked. Elan pointed toward the eastern ridge. The Grenth have set up heavy artillery there. If they break through, there's nothing left between them and the city. Holt didn't nod or thank him. She simply turned and gave a hand signal. The Deathworlders moved, two broke off and vanished into the smoke. The others stayed. Elan followed Holt, trying to keep up. We don't have much left, he said. Only a few volunteers. No air cover. No drones. Good, Holt replied without emotion. We don't need any. They passed burned buildings and wounded civilians. Everywhere they went, Darians stopped and stared. Some hid. Others cried. Most couldn't believe what they were seeing. Stories of humans had always seemed exaggerated. Now, watching one carry a plasma cannon like it weighed nothing, they realized the truth had been watered down. At the outer edge of the city, Elan led Holt to a lookout post. Through a cracked lens, she saw the Grenth lines. Thousands of alien soldiers, armored tanks, walkers, drones. The enemy had firepower. Numbers. Position. Holt looked unimpressed. We've seen worse. Elan was stunned. How can 5 of you fight that? She turned toward him. We are not here to fight them. He blinked. What do you mean? We are here to stop them. Then she raised her wrist, pressed a button, and spoke one word, now. The ground shook as 2 explosions lit up the eastern hills. The sky went orange and black. Elan watched in awe as fire spread across the Grenth lines. Massive machines flipped through the air. Screams echoed even from this distance. Far above, something dark screamed through the clouds, an orbital kinetic missile. It struck behind the Grenth ranks, cutting off their retreat. Panic spread among the enemy, then the Deathworlders moved. They launched forward with speed Elan couldn't follow. No shouting. No wasted movement. Just brutal, exact attacks. One of them used a weapon that fired arcs of energy, slicing through tanks. Another moved with 2 blades, leaping into the enemy ranks like a ghost made of steel. Elan watched from the post, his heart pounding. His people had been ready to die. Now they were watching gods of war tear through an army that had once seemed invincible. The Grenth tried to fight back. They fired missiles. Lasers. Mortars, none of it mattered. Point 1. Of the humans, massive and bald, stood in the open and took a direct hit from a plasma round. His armor sparked but didn't break. He kept walking, calm and silent, as if nothing had touched him. Elan grabbed a communicator. All units, support the humans. Push forward. Across the city, the few dying fighters left began to rise. Inspired. Empowered. Hope, long dead, sparked in their hearts, but the truth was clear. This wasn't their fight anymore. This was something else. By nightfall, the hills were silent. Smoke drifted. The Grenth forces were gone, broken, scattered, burning. Not a single human had fallen. The 5 stood at the edge of the battlefield, watching the stars. Elan approached them slowly. I don't know what to say. You don't need to, Holt said. Your people are safe. That's what matters. He looked at her. Why did you come? You don't owe us anything. We are not part of Earth's allies. Holt stared up at the sky for a long moment before answering, because no one else would. Then she turned away and walked into the shadows with the others. The legend of the Deathworlders had just begun on Doria. And the galaxy, once cold and uncaring, would soon feel the ripple of what it meant when Earth answered a call for help. The Council's silence. News of what happened on Doria spread fast. Ships passing near the system picked up strange signals, shattered comms, broken enemy frequencies, and one message sent from the surface: we are alive. The humans came. By the time the Galactic Council received the data, it was already too late to pretend they didn't know. Delegates from many alien worlds gathered inside the Grand Hall, a structure the size of a small city, orbiting the neutral world of Tiris. The Council had ignored Doria's distress signal. Some hadn't even listened. Others believed it wasn't their problem. Now, Doria was still standing. And humans, Deathworlders, had saved it. Whispers filled the chamber. The name Earth carried weight. Not long ago, Earth had withdrawn from Council politics. No grand goodbye, no demands. Just silence. Some thought it was pride. Others thought it was strategy, but no one had expected Earth to still be watching. An elder delegate, thin and grey with sunken eyes, slammed his hand on the table. This is a disaster, he growled. They acted without approval. They used weapons we banned long ago. Another, more cautious voice responded, they saved a dying world. That's not the point, the elder snapped. They acted alone. Without permission. With force. But they succeeded, someone else whispered. The council chamber grew tense. No one wanted to admit it, but it was true. Earth didn't wait for orders. Earth didn't need permission, and Earth got results. Far from the political games, the people of Doria were recovering. Emergency shelters had been set up. Human engineers helped restore water, food, and medicine. The Deathworlders remained close to their ship, always watching, rarely speaking. Elan found Commander Holt near the burnt-out ruins of a school. Children were playing nearby, some even laughing for the first time in weeks. You gave us a chance to live, Elan said. Holt didn't look away from the children. You gave yourselves that chance. We just pushed the odds. He hesitated, then asked, do you do this often? Answer calls like ours. She nodded slightly. When we hear them. Why didn't you wait for permission? Now she looked at him. Her voice was quiet but firm. Because dying people don't have time to wait. That night, the Deathworlders received a message on a private Earth channel. It was from command back home. Simple and short, more signals detected. You're not done yet. Holt read the message and glanced at her team. They all understood. There were more like Doria out there. More who were abandoned. Earth would not stay quiet anymore, but before they could leave, another ship entered orbit, one painted in the colors of the Galactic Council. It sent one transmission to the Deathworlder vessel, stand down. Do not interfere again. Holt narrowed her eyes. Then she deleted the message without replying. Beside her, one of the other soldiers chuckled softly. They still think they can control us. Holt responded coldly, let them try. Back in the council chamber, panic grew. Earth had made its move, not through threats, not through speeches, but through action. Quiet, direct, and unstoppable, the dying planets across the stars were no longer alone. Humanity had returned, and this time, they wouldn't be ignored. A warning in the ashes. The stars above Doria were clear again. No more smoke. No more fire. Only the quiet aftermath of survival, but deep below, within the hidden chambers of the Deathworlder dropship, something more dangerous was unfolding. Commander Holt stood before a glowing display, scanning the map of known space. Red dots blinked across it, distress signals, weak and fading. Some marked full planetary collapse. Others were old cries never answered. They are everywhere, said one of the Deathworlders, a tall man with dark armor. And the council ignored them all. Holt nodded. That's about to change. She pressed a command. A small beacon launched from their ship, disappearing into orbit. It carried one message, encoded in a galactic common language, sent across secure frequencies. This is Earth. We heard the cries you ignored. If you won't protect them, we will. The message was picked up on military channels first, hidden feeds, old relay beacons, black market networks. Within hours, hundreds of minor planets heard it. Civilizations that had long given up hope suddenly had something new, a name, Earth. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, that message exploded like a bomb. The screen blinked with complaints, demands, and fear. Leaders from several systems demanded answers. A few condemned Earth outright. But not one of them dared send ships to stop them, because no one wanted to face the Deathworlders. The Council attempted to vote on sanctions, but the motion failed. Too many members were already thinking the same thing. What if we are next? Meanwhile, on Doria, Holt walked the ruins with Elan. Children followed quietly behind them, peeking out with curiosity. Some had begun drawing the humans with chalk, tall figures standing between fire and monsters. Your team, Elan said. They don't smile much. We weren't sent to smile, Holt replied, but you saved us. Holt didn't answer right away. Then she stopped and looked at him seriously. We didn't save you. We reminded you that you're not forgotten. He frowned. What does that mean? It means Earth is watching. Listening. Waiting for a reason. Elan shivered. Not because of her words, but because of how calmly she spoke them. Earth didn't fight for praise. It didn't conquer for land. It didn't warn before it acted. It simply did what needed to be done. That evening, the Deathworlders prepared to leave. Repairs to their dropship were done. Supplies loaded. The children came to see them off. One of them ran forward and handed Holt a drawing, 5 dark shapes standing in front of a bright burning sun. Holt took it silently. For a moment, she almost smiled. As the ship lifted into the sky, Elan watched it vanish into the stars. His world was still broken. Still in pain, but it had hope now, not because of speeches. Not because of politics, because Earth had answered, and every enemy who thought they could prey on the weak would soon learn what that meant. Ghosts in the dark. The Deathworlder dropship, now fully operational, moved through silent space like a shadow. It didn't broadcast its location. It didn't signal intent. It simply moved from system to system, following the whispers of distress. Signals that no one else dared respond to. Inside, the team sat quietly. They didn't speak much. Each one knew what they were, a living weapon, built not for comfort, but for impact. Commander Holt stood in the command bay, watching a flickering screen. Another signal had been traced. Not a normal SOS. This one was fragmented. Repeating. Hidden behind interference. But one word was clear: help. The system was unmarked. No known planets. No charts. But the signal was real. We're going, she said. No one questioned her. They adjusted their gear and prepared to drop again. When they arrived, the planet below was in ruins. It wasn't war this time, it was silence. Cities empty. Skies grey. No signs of life on sensors, but the signal was still coming from the surface. The dropship descended and landed in the middle of a broken city, its buildings tall but shattered, like bones sticking out of a wound. The humans stepped out, weapons ready, armor humming. Holt moved carefully through the ruins. Stay sharp, she said. This doesn't feel right. They followed the signal deeper into the city until they reached a tower half sunken into the ground. At the top, a transmitter blinked slowly, still active, but inside the building, they found no people. Only bodies, dozens of alien civilians, curled in corners, some still holding each other. All had died quietly, likely weeks ago. There had been no rescue. No response. Just a signal sent by one survivor, who died waiting. One of the Deathworlders, the youngest among them, clenched his fists. They were ignored. Again. Holt scanned the transmitter. It had kept working on backup power, repeating the same signal until the end. She looked at the room for a long time. Then she spoke, more to herself than anyone else. This is what happens when no one comes. They activated a flare. Not to call for help, but to mark the site. A red beam lit the sky. Back on the dropship, Holt sent out a second message across hidden channels: another world lost. No response. No rescue. Earth remembers what the Council forgets. As the ship left orbit, Holt sat silently, staring at the stars. The others didn't speak either. They didn't need to. They all felt the same quiet rage. It wasn't just about fighting now. It was about remembering and making sure this never happened again. Far away, in the heart of the Galactic Council, leaders watched Earth signals flood the network. One after another. System after system. A message was clear: Earth had taken responsibility for the forgotten, and Earth would not stop. Council meetings turned heated. They are making us look weak, one diplomat shouted. Another whispered, maybe we are. For the first time in generations, change had come not from inside the chamber, but from the shadows between stars. From the Deathworlders, and the galaxy was starting to take notice. Earth doesn't ask twice. The Deathworlders didn't rest. From planet to planet, they followed signals the Galactic Council ignored. They found worlds on fire, outposts under siege, mining colonies begging for aid. Every time, the story was the same: no one had come, until now. Each time they landed, they changed the outcome. With precision. With power. And always with silence. They didn't speak to cameras or issue statements. They let their actions speak instead. The galaxy had started calling them ghosts, whispers of vengeance in black armor, but on Earth, they were simply known as the Answer Team, and now the team was en route to another world, this one still holding on, barely. A jungle-covered planet called Immerse. The locals had tried to defend themselves for months against raiders, pirates who took food, supplies, and lives. No help had arrived. Not from the Council. Not from nearby allies, but a signal had made it. To Earth.I in orbit, the Deathworlder ship decloaked for the first time in weeks. The enemy ships didn't even see them coming. Within seconds, the pirates' fleet lit up with explosions. Commander Holt stood at the command deck, watching silent feeds as enemy vessels burned. Her voice remained calm. "Let's go clean up." On the ground, the pirates were caught off guard. They had grown used to fear, to dominance. But nothing they had prepared them for. The humans. Black armored warriors fell from the sky in drop pods, crashing into the jungle like meteors. The Deathworlders moved like lightning, silent, exact, merciless. One pirate tried to flee in a shuttle. It never made it to the sky. A spear of plasma from a human cannon took it down before it lifted 10 meters. The people of Immerse watched from hidden shelters, eyes wide. They saw the humans fight without hesitation. No delay. No negotiations, and when it was over, when the smoke cleared and the raiders lay scattered, the leader of the village stepped forward. He was old, with thin arms and shaking legs. But his voice was strong. "Why did you come?" Holt stepped forward, lowering her weapon. "Because you called." The elder blinked. "But we are not part of your worlds. We are not even strong." "That's why we came," Holt said. The elder dropped to one knee. Others followed. For the first time, someone had heard them back. Aboard the ship, Holt received another message from Earth Command. It was short, as always, Council interference increasing. Stay on course. Do not yield. She stared at the words for a moment. Then deleted them. "I never planned to," she muttered. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Council forces gathered. Not to help the innocent, but to monitor the humans. To track them. To warn them. Inside the chamber of the Galactic Council, fear turned into resentment. They are embarrassing us. They are exposing us. They are breaking protocol. But no one dared confront them directly, because the Council had learned something important. Earth didn't ask for permission, and Earth didn't ask twice. The day the galaxy listened, the sky above the Council's central world glowed with the light of warships, not enemy ships. Earth ships. They had not fired a single shot. They hadn't even entered restricted space. But their arrival was enough to stop all Council movement. A single Deathworlder fleet had parked itself in high orbit, silent, waiting, inside the Council chamber. Panic pulsed beneath every polished speech. One representative stood and shouted, "This is intimidation." Another responded, "No, it's a message." A third, trembling, asked the question they all feared: what happens if we keep ignoring the cries for help? No one answered. Far above, in the orbiting black vessel, Commander Holt stood in front of a holoscreen. She wore her armor, visor lifted, her face hard but calm. Behind her, her team stood still, 5 of Earth's finest, now known across the stars as the Ghosts who answered when no one else would. She opened a channel, not a private one, but a galaxy-wide broadcast. Civilizations, colonies, abandoned stations, and even pirate dens stopped what they were doing as her voice rang through. Her words were simple. "We didn't come to threaten. We didn't come to rule. We came because no one else did." She continued, her voice quiet, but each word hit like thunder. "We are from Earth. A death world. A place where strength is survival. We offered that strength to those who asked. And we will keep doing it. Not for power. Not for reward. But because silence should never be an answer." A pause. "To those in danger, call us. To those who prey on the weak, run." She ended the transmission. No fanfare. No demands, and the fleet turned and vanished into hyperspace. Across the galaxy, the effects were immediate. On the world of Narrations, where pirates had gathered, entire crews abandoned their ships and fled into the forests. They had heard the stories. They had seen the black armored warriors dot on a dying colony in the drift belt. Children drew human warships in the sand. They believed again, and in the Galactic Council. Something impossible happened. A vote passed. A new law rushed through within hours, required every council species to respond to all SOS signals within 48 hours, no debate, no delay. It wasn't because they had grown kinder. It was because Earth had reminded them what failure looked like. Back aboard the dropship, Holt sat quietly. The stars stretched out in all directions. One of her team, seated nearby, asked, "Do you think they'll really change?" Holt shrugged. "Doesn't matter." "Why not?" "Because we are still listening." Somewhere in the deep dark, a faint signal blinked. A new call for help. Weak. Scared. Forgotten. Holt tapped the screen, set course. The dropship hummed to life, the Deathworlders moved once more, and the galaxy, forever changed, listened in silence, because now they knew when Earth answers a cry for help, the stars shake.